But first tonight, we've reported quite often on the historic schooner Bowdoin, which is the official vessel of the state of Maine and the flagship for Maine Maritime Academy. She has been sailing for more than a century and is now in the middle of a significant voyage to the northern Canadian Maritimes.
The Bowdoin set sail 2 weeks ago from Boothbay Harbor, the port where her sailing life began. And 207's Don Kerrigan was there to see her off.
Tied up at the town dock in Boothbay Harbor with fresh paint gleaming, the schooner looked like any other Maine windjammer ready for the season. But the Bowdoin stands apart, stands out because of where she has been and what she has done, and is still doing 102 years after she was built.
1921, she traditionally left from 2 piers down when she was going to the Arctic 26 times under Donald McMillan's command.
It was Captain and later Admiral Donald McMillan, one of the leading explorers of the Arctic, who named the schooner for his college, sailing with crews of students and adults to places in those days unknown to most Americans. Alex Peacock is the new captain of the Bowdoin.
Yeah, and they would actually purposely get iced in and they wintered over. So the first time they wintered over is the year she was built, 1921. And the second time they wintered over was 23 and further up in a refuge harbor on the Greenland coast.
McMillan and his crews studied the villages of Inuits and other natives living in that harsh world, as well as the plants, animals, and birds, sharing the culture and learning what the Arctic and its people had to teach.
Yeah, it was pretty brave, and he was the stoic leader that they all needed.
And now there will be new stories. The Bowdoin left port on this day to sail back to Labrador for the first time in years. The century-old schooner is now part of Maine Maritime Academy, helping train new generations of mariners and scientists, including Landon Parks.
So my great-great-grandfather was on board in 1929.
She is starting her second year at Maine Maritime, training for marine biology and for the sea.
So what's it mean to you to literally follow in his wake?
I mean, it means a lot. It's I didn't come on Bowdoin specifically to follow in his legacy, but I thought it was a bit of a coincidence, and it just adds a little bit of significance to this cruise, and I'm really hoping to get up to Nain, so it can become kind of a full circle moment.
It's a 6-week journey for the student crew from both Maine Maritime and Bowdoin College. After working weeks to get the schooner ready, they are all at sea now, many for the first time.
So far I've loved it, and the crew is awesome. We worked as like a well-oiled machine.
Their adventure beginning in Boothbay Harbor because the Bowdoin was built here just up the road in East Boothbay by the Hodgdon Yard in 1921. Tim Hodgdon, current president of the family business, came to see her off.
And we built Bowdoin in 1921, which was a year before my father was born. And so it's really exciting to see Captain Peacock and the crew from Maine Maritime Academy head off out of Boothbay Harbor as McMillan did years ago in the 1900s.
And aside from modern electronics, the Bowdoin is pretty much the same as she was back then. She has been repaired and restored several times over the years, most recently in 2019, also in Boothbay Harbor. The vessel now in great shape, her captain says, and ready for the long voyage across the Gulf of Maine, up past Nova Scotia, to the village of Maine in Labrador. And for the Bowdoin and her crew, this is a kind of a shakedown cruise, getting ready for an even bigger one next summer to sail all the way to the Arctic, literally retracing the route that the explorer McMillan and his crew took so many years ago.
It's an incredible honor. I'm standing on the shoulder of giants, and I have a big shadow to fill.
He also has a crew to train and teach.
I've seen some pictures from 1994 when they went to Greenland, where they were facing 30-foot waves for 18 hours. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like that, or yeah.
Do you hope it is?
I think it would be fun to experience, maybe once.
It's pretty emotional being able to bring young adults up in such an adventure. You know, it's going to sea, it's seamanship, it's working as a team, it's learning so many aspects of life, and you know, in personal responsibility and you know, everything that falls under that umbrella.
And at the same time, they will visit with native villages in Labrador, places the Bowdoin originally visited a century ago and has continued to contact over the years.
And so I think it's very important to get young adults up there who might be in the maritime industry later on, you know, get this, they're standing out in the elements, they have a different appreciation for the environment and the communities.
And sailing as generations before them have done on board the Bowdoin, renewing connections with remote places and showing new sailors how far the wind can take them.
Really cool experience for those students.
Ships like that just never lose their allure. No
No.
matter what happens, no matter how our technology advances and moves forward, the pull of those ships, just that magnetic attraction that you have to those ships, just even if you don't get on them, you just see them out on the bay, they're just marvelous.
And then if you are on it, you're living on a piece of history.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I love, you know, that connection. The great-grandfather who was on that same boat and that same crew.
Very cool.
So the Bowdoin is due back on July 16th. She will anchor for the first night on Mount Desert Island, then sail home to Castine the next day.
Safe travels to them.